Hi, today we will discuss the fundamental unit of life, ninth standard lesson. This lesson mainly talks about the cell, the fundamental unit of life. Do you know who first observed this cell? In 1665, Robert Hooke saw the honeycomb like structure when he was examining the thin slice of cork under his own crude microscope, what he had made himself. He called his compartment like structure cells. Cell is a Latin word for a little room. As the little room, the cells are close compartment. So he had given this cell, the structure, the name cell. You can see this is the picture of Robert Hooke's crude microscope, what he had made, and the Koch cells. You can see how it looked like a honeycomb like structure. This is a picture of compound microscope, which is now modern days we are using most of the time in the laboratories to study the cell. Let me understand the history of the cell. As I told, 1665, Robert Hooke first time observed cells in thin slices of cork. What he exactly observed is the dead cell. It was not a living cell. In 1674, Antony van Leeuwenhoek discovered free living cells in the pond water. And Leeuwenhoek was the first person who observed the living cells. He mainly observed the protozoa. 1831, Robert Brown discovered nucleus in the cell. 1839, Purkinje coined the term protoplasm for the fluid substance of the cell. 1838 and 1839, two biologists, Clayton and Skevan, they formulated the cell theory. And 1855, Virchow, he added the point to the cell theory that all cells arise from free existing cells. What is cell theory? According to the cell theory, all living organisms are formed of one or more cells. New cells arise from pre-existing cells by cell division. Cell is a structural unit and functional unit of living organism. Why? Cell is known as the fundamental, structural and functional unit of life. Cell is known as structural unit of life as whole body of organism is made up of cell. Cell is known as functional unit of life because all the functions are regulated inside the cell, and cell as an individual structure is capable of performing all the functions. Now understand, based on the number of cells present in the organism, there are two types of the organism, unicellular and multicellular. Uni means single. Organism made up of single cell is called unicellular organism. All the life activities are performed by that single cell. For example, bacteria, protozoa, yeast. Multi means many. Multicellular organisms are made up of many cells. In these organisms, work is divided into the different parts of the body, the cells of different parts of the body. Example of multicellular organism, plants, animal, fungi, etc. Yeah, you can see this picture of unicellular, multicellular organism. The size and the shape of the cells found in the organism differs based on the function they perform. This is a picture of some of the different types of cells found in the human body, like muscle cells are spindle shaped, blood cells are the concave, nerve cells are long because they have to transmit the nerve impulses. Then ovum, you are seeing the spherical. Yes, this is how the different types of the cells found in the human body, and their shape and size depends upon the what kind of the function these cells perform. When we observe the plant cell and the animal cell under the microscope, while observing, as we have to take the slice very thin, generally the single cell thickness, these cells are very light. We cannot see them clearly under the microscope, and that's why we have to add the drop of the stain. When we are adding the drop of the stain to the cells, this is what I am showing, the onion peel cells, and this is the picture of human cheek cells. And if you observe this, when we are adding the stain, just the drop of the stain to the cells and observing under the microscope, different part of the cell get a stain in the different color. We can see the outermost lining is little darker one. It is called a cell membrane or plasma membrane. Then inside the cell membrane there is a light color staining is there, and that is called cytoplasm. And inside the cytoplasm again we can see the spherical or oval shape structure, and it is a nucleus. So all the types of the cells have these three basic components, that is cell membrane, nucleus and cytoplasm. Let me know more about these basic components of the cell. First, the outermost boundary of the most of the cells is the plasma membrane or the cell membrane. It is found in all the cells. It separates the interior of the cell from the outside environment. The plasma membrane consists of protein and lipid bilayer. It is flexible in nature and it is semi-permeable. What is semi-permeable? It regulates the transport of material entering an existing cell, and only selected molecules it allow to enter and exit the cell, and that's why it is called a semi-permeable. Now, how these molecules pass across the cell membrane? There are the few molecules like gaseous molecule, oxygen, carbon dioxide. They are transported, or they will just pass from the across the cell membrane due to their concentration gradient. Like as we know, cells need the oxygen for cellular respiration. The number of or the amount of the oxygen inside the cell will be the less compared to the outside the cell. So through the simple process called the diffusion, oxygen enters the cell. The same way, the carbon dioxide is the waste produced during the respiration. So there is a concentration of carbon dioxide inside the cell will be the more compared to its outside. So there is carbon dioxide, then again with a simple process called the diffusion, it will be expelled outside the cell. Let me understand what is the diffusion. It is the movement of the substance from an area of high concentration to the area of low concentration. As you are seeing in the pic, left side of the picture, the concentration of the molecule is more. Right side of the picture, the concentration of the molecule is less. The molecule from high concentration, they start moving towards the low concentration up to the equilibrium is achieved. It happens in liquid and gases because these particles move randomly from place to place. And it is a very important process for living things. That is how the substances move in and out of the cells. What about the other substances like the water molecule? Water molecule also move from its higher concentration to the lower concentration, but through the semi-permeable membrane, that is cell membrane, and this process is called osmosis. You can frame the definition of osmosis in two ways. It is a process by which the molecule of solvent pass from a solution of low concentration to the solution of high concentration through a semi-permeable membrane. Or second definition, osmosis is a process by which molecule of solvent pass from its higher concentration to its lower concentration through a semi-permeable membrane. During osmosis, only solvent molecules are moving, solute will not move. Osmosis again occur up to equilibrium is reached. You can see here in the picture, left side of the vessel osmosis tube. It is a special kind of the tube called osmosis tube, and it is having the two arms, and between these two arms there is a membrane is there, semi-permeable membrane. In one of the arm you have to take the concentrated salt or sugar solution, and second arm you take the less concentrated salt or sugar solution. Leave it this as it is undisturbed. And we observe that the water molecules move from its higher concentration to the lower concentration. And if you are observing now, there is the equilibrium in the solute particle or the water. There is the equilibrium is achieved. The same amount of the or concentration of the solution in the both arm will be there. Let me understand the difference between diffusion and osmosis. Diffusion can take place in solid, liquid and gaseous medium, but solid is very rare it is. But osmosis can take place only in liquid medium. Diffusion does not involve movement of molecule across semi-permeable membrane. Osmosis involves movement of solvent molecule across semi-permeable membrane. Diffusion, different substances diffuses independent of one another. The diffusion is not dependent upon the other substance. But osmosis is here only the solvent undergoes the osmosis, and the osmosis is influenced by type and concentration of the solute particle present in the solution. Even the solvent is undergoing the osmosis, but what are the solutes are there? What is the concentration of the solute? The osmosis depend on that. But diffusion is not depends upon the any presence of any other substance. Now what will happen if we keep the cells in the different types of the solution, like isotonic solution, hypertonic solution and hypertonic solution. What is iso? Iso means equal. Isotonic solution have the concentration of the solution same like that of the inside the cell. Hypertonic solution, concentration of solution is less than that of the inside the cell. And in the hypertonic solution, the concentration of the solution outside the cell is more compared to inside the cell. So what will happen? when we are keeping this cell inside it is different types of the solution. When the cell is put into the isotonic solution, as the concentration of the solution or water molecule both inside and outside the cell is same, the water is freely moving in and out. The equal amount of the water enter the cell, which amount the water will exit the cell. And that's why the cell size remain the same. Second one, when we put the cell into the hypotonic solution, as the concentration of the water inside the cell is less, more amount of the water enter the cell compared to the amount of water going outside. And as the more amount of the water enter the cell will swell, and it will increase in the size. And if you you are going on keeping in the hypotonic solution only cell for the longer time, the cell might burst, because the cell membrane no more able to take the pressure by more intake of the water. And next, when we are talking, when the cell is kept into the hypotonic solution, here the concentration of the water outside the cell is less, and because of that the water from inside the cell start flowing more outside. Very little water inside the cell, but more water goes out. And due to that, due to loss of most of the water from the cell, cell will shrink in the size. Yeah, so this is briefly different types of solution, definition, what happen in the cell. Hypotonic solution, greater concentration of solute inside the cell than the outside. Or in other words, greater concentration of solvent outside the cell. What happened to the cell in this environment? Water goes into the cell will get bigger and can burst. Hypotonic solution, greater concentration of solute outside the cell, or in other words, greater concentration of solvent inside the cell. What happened to cell? Water leaves the cell will get shrink due to dehydration. And isotonic solution, concentration of both solvent and solute inside the cell is equal to that of the solution outside. Cell is at equilibrium, no change in the size of the cell happen. In the case of the plant cell, plant and the fungi and even the bacteria, outside the cell membrane there is a one more cell membrane structure is there, and it is called a cell wall. It is called cell wall. It is just outside the cell membrane. Cell wall is rigid. It's very little flexible, but mainly it is a rigid, tough. And because of that rigid and toughness, the cell wall provide both structural support and protection. Its major function is preventing overexpansion of the cell when excess water enter the cell. Like how we have seen in the case of hypotonic solution, more water enter the cell. The cell wall composition varies from species to species, but mainly in the plant cells, the primary cell wall is made up of polysaccharides called cellulose. Along with the cellulose, hemicellulose and pectin might be present. Cell wall is absent in the animal cell. This is the plant cell. When we keep it into the hypotonic solution, what will happen to the plant cell? Now, The first picture, if you are seeing here, the leftmost picture, this is a normal plant cell, and at the center there is a vacuole is there, which contain, the vacuole is mainly contain the water. Now if suppose this normal plant cell, if we put it into the hypertonic solution, as I told you, in the hypertonic solution, water from inside the cell, it will start moving outside. So as the water from cell, it will be more outside, the cell size will shrink. So can you see in the edges of the cell membrane getting separated from the cell wall, because cell is getting shrink. As you going on keeping the cell inside the hypertonic solution for the longer duration, you observe the cell become more and more smaller in size. The cell membrane getting separated from cell wall now, because cell membrane is always with the cell content, but the cell wall is having its fixed shape. Cell membrane doesn't have fixed shape. It according to the cell in the what environment it is there. Either it will shrink or expand, right? And in the last picture, after few hours, the cell is in the hypertonic solution. Most of the water molecules are expelled out, and how much cell is got shrink, but still the cell wall retain its shape. And this process is called plasmolysis. This process is called plasmolysis. And if you are observing here, the cell wall is retain its shape. So the main function of the cell wall, it is giving the structural and mechanical support to the plant cells. Whether it is in a hypotonic solution, it will not allow the cells to burst because excess amount of the water enter, or in the case of hypertonic solution, it will not allow the cells to deform. The outer boundary will be maintained by the cell wall. Inside the cell membrane, there is a jelly-like liquid is there. It is a thick solution, and this is called a cytoplasm. It is mainly composed of water, in which the water, salts and proteins are dissolved. And in the eukaryotic cell, most of the cell organelles are present inside the cytoplasm. In the case of the prokaryotic cell, it is the site of most of the reaction. And let me understand one of the important cell organelle, that is the nucleus. As I told you, in the typical plant cell and the human chick cell, what I had shown you, the inner spherical or oval dark spot is the nucleus. Nucleus is also membrane bound. It have its own membrane. It is a double membrane. It is called a nuclear membrane. Nuclear membrane is not continuous. It has the small pores on it. It is called a nuclear pore. This nuclear pore helps for the passage of molecules in and out of the nucleus. The exchange of the substances from nucleus to the cytoplasm is achieved by nuclear pore. Inside the nuclear pore, there is one more spherical structure, nucleolus. It is a site of production of RNA. And the long thread-like structure is there. It is called the chromatin. This chromatin, during the cell division, it will become thick rod-like structure called the chromosome. Chromosome or the chromatin is made up of the DNA and protein. DNA is deoxyribonucleic acid. DNA contains the information for hereditary information. What is the hereditary information? It is the information of the characteristic which is transferred from parents to the offspring or the children. that is called this part of the DNA. There are this small information in each segment of the DNA will be there, and this is called a gene. Each DNA have hundreds to thousands of the genes. What is the function of the nucleus? It controls and regulates all the activities of the cell, and it also regulates the cell division. And as I told you, the DNA contains the genes, so it will determine the offspring, the characters of the offspring. Now, one more thing is there. In all the organism, we cannot see this very prominent nucleus. Depending upon the type of the nucleus is found, there are two types of the organism, eukaryote and prokaryote. Eu means new. Okay, and karyote is a nucleus. The organism with the modern or the new type of the nucleus is called eukaryotes. And these organisms have the nucleus what we had discussed just few minutes back. A membrane bound nucleus where the genetic material or chromatin is surrounded by the nuclear membrane. So this nucleus region is prominently demarcated in the eukaryotes. While in the case of the prokaryote, another group of the organism, pro means primitive. The organism with a primitive type of the nucleus. Their nucleus is not demarcated clearly. It's not membrane bound. But the nuclear region or the material chromatid is lying in the cytoplasm. So such type of the nucleus is called nucleoid. Nucleoid is the nucleus without the nuclear membrane, which is found in the prokaryote. Let me see the difference between pro and the eukaryotic cell. As I told, first thing we have to remember, prokaryotic cells, nuclear region is poorly defined due to the absence of nuclear membrane, and it is known as nucleoid. Eukaryotes, nuclear region is well defined and surrounded by a nuclear membrane. Prokaryotic cell is generally small, approximately 1 to 10 micrometer. Eukaryotic cell is generally large, approximately 5 to 100 micrometer. In prokaryotic cell, a single circular chromosome is there. In eukaryotic cell, more than one chromosome is there. For example, in the human being, 23 pairs of the chromosomes are there. Prokaryotic cells, membrane-bound cell organelles are absent, while in the eukaryotic cell, membrane-bound cell organelles such as mitochondria, lysosome, etc. are present. What is cell organelles? It's a big question now. Now, as we have seen in the multicellular organism like human being, are different parts or the different organs perform the different function. There is the work is divided among the different organs. Organs are made up of tissue and tissue made up of the cell. So we are seeing that all the cells are not performing the all cell functions. But there is a division of the labor is there. Work is divided among the cells. Few cells are specialized called the tissue and they are performing particular function. Like nerve cells, they are transporting the nerve impulses or the information from sensory organ to the brain or from brain to the muscles. Or the blood cells like RBC, it carries the oxygen. Like this, they have performing the specific function. In the same way, inside the eukaryotic cells, there are the different small organelles or parts of the cell which is membrane bound and which perform the specific function. And this membrane bound structure which perform the specific function inside the eukaryotic cell is called cell organelles. In prokaryotic cell, cell organelles is absent. Then where is this various different functions are performed? So most of the time the different functions like respiration, photosynthesis, protein synthesis, all this takes place in the prokaryotic cell inside the cytoplasm or cell membrane, a special folding of the cell membrane. But this lesson we are not discussing much about the prokaryote. We are mainly focusing the eukaryotic and which have the cell organelles. Different types of the cell organelles which are generally present in almost all the types of the cell, whether it is the plant or the animal cell or protozoans or even fungi. So these cell organelles are nucleus, endoplasmic reticulum, mitochondria, chloroplast, vacuole, Golgi apparatus, lysosomes, ribosomes, centrosomes, etc. Let me understand more about these cell organelles. As already we had discussed the nucleus, next we understand the endoplasmic reticulum. If you are seeing the diagram, it is a nucleus and around the nucleus there is a membrane folding is there, and this folded system of the membrane which contain the series of flattened foldings, a sac-like structure, and it is called endoplasmic reticulum. It is called endoplasmic reticulum. And this endoplasmic reticulum have the various functions like synthesis of different molecules, folding, modification, transport of different molecules across the cell, and it is also providing the structural framework to the cell to maintain the shape of the cell. This endoplasmic reticulum plays a very important role. Depending upon the presence or absence of ribosomes on their membrane, the outer membrane, there are two types of endoplasmic reticulum: smooth endoplasmic reticulum and rough endoplasmic reticulum. This is the picture of smooth endoplasmic. In short we call it SER, and rough endoplasmic, that is RER. The outer walls of the smooth endoplasmic reticulum, ribosome is not attached, and that's why its appearance is smooth. In the case of rough endoplasmic reticulum, the outer walls, ribosomes, that is one more cell organelle, it is attached, and that's why that rough appearance is there. Smooth endoplasmic reticulum is the site of lipid production. Lipid is produced, stored inside this smooth endoplasmic reticulum, and the modification also takes place in the lipid. Ribosome is the site of protein synthesis, and this protein what is produced by the ribosome is transported inside the rough endoplasmic reticulum. This protein is stored inside the rough endoplasmic reticulum. The modification had taken place in the protein and then transportation of that protein. Some of this lipid and protein which is produced by endoplasmic reticulum is utilized for the cell membrane production, the synthesis of cell membrane, and it is called biological membrane genesis. There is one more structure which is membrane bound, and it looks like a series of flattened plate-like structure which are stacked one above the other, and this plate-like structure or the cup saucer-like structure is called cisternae, and around that there are the small vesicles are there, round structure, and this is called the Golgi apparatus. And it is responsible for transporting, modifying and packaging proteins and lipids into the vesicles for delivering the target destination. And this Golgi apparatus membranes are bound to the endoplasmic reticulum. So whatever the lipid or protein or the other molecules produced into the endoplasmic reticulum is transported to the Golgi apparatus. In the Golgi apparatus, mainly the modification of this molecule like lipid and protein which are used for membrane biogenesis, that is making the cell membrane. Other than that, whatever the protein or lipid remaining, this lipid is converted to the hormones or cholesterol, and protein is converted to the enzymes. So this modification takes place into the Golgi apparatus and then packed into the vesicles and then transported, delivered to the different target sites. There is one more very interesting and very important cell organelle, and that is the mitochondria. Mitochondria is also membrane bound cell organelle, and the inner walls of this mitochondria is lot of folding, the inward folding, and this is called cristae. And this inner folding of the mitochondria is giving the more surface area for the chemical reactions that takes place in the mitochondria. The reactions which are associated with the aerobic respiration. In the mitochondria, as the aerobic respiration takes place, the lot of chemical energy is produced. The lot of energy which is needed for the various biochemical processes takes place inside the cell. And this energy, chemical energy produced by the mitochondria during the process of respiration is stored in the a smaller molecule called the ATP. ATP, adenosine triphosphate. For more about this adenosine triphosphate, I will put the link into the description box. You can see my another video. And regarding to the enzymes also, there is one more very interesting my video is there. I'll put the link for that also in the description box. Please have a look of that. Now, one of the very interesting thing about the mitochondria is that it has its own DNA and ribosome. And that's why it is able to make few of the proteins necessary for its activities, mainly for respiration. Mitochondria is also known as the powerhouse of the cell because it is providing the energy in the form of ATP molecule to the whole cell. There is one more cell organelle which is present only in the plant cell, and it is called the plastid. Plastid is again the membrane bound organelle, and there are mainly the two types of the plastids are there. One is the chromoplast, which contain the pigments, and another is the leucoplast without the pigment. Chromoplast contain the colored pigment. If it contain the green color pigment, it is called a chloroplast. This chloroplast contain the green color pigment called the chlorophyll, and this chlorophyll absorb the sunlight during the photosynthesis. And that what you can see, the food material, that light energy what they absorb from the sunlight is utilized to produce and store the glucose, that is a food. Then other than chloroplast, the chromoplast contain the colored pigment like carotenoids like red, orange and yellow color pigment, and it is found in the flowers and the fruit. Leucoplast is the plastid which has no pigment. It is mainly present in the colorless plants like the roots, and it is used to store the starch or the lipids. This is the chloroplast, a very common plastid found in the green part of the plant, like leaf or the some of the plant, the stem, which is green in color, contain the chloroplast. And it is the site of photosynthesis, and it contains the chlorophyll pigment. Like mitochondria, chloroplast also, the plastid also contain the DNA and ribosome. There is a small circular spherical structure in the cell which contain the lot of digestive enzymes, and it is called a lysosome. Lysosome is mainly important as it contains the digestive enzyme in the unicellular organism like the amoeba. These lysosomes combine with the food vesicle or food vacuole, and it help in the digestion of the food. So all these digestive enzymes present in the lysosomes are able to break down the different biochemical biological polymers like protein, nucleic acid, carbohydrate, lipids, etc. So what about the function in the multicellular organism lysosome, please? It actually digests or degrade the material which is taken from outside the cell or which enter the cell, like the microbes or some other foreign material which is not useful to that will be the broken. And in the same way, if any part of the cell is damaged, any component, maybe the cell organelle and all that, due to the worn out due to various activities, if any part of the cell is damaged, these lysosomes are digesting that cell organelle. So it will doing the digestion of the foreign material which enter the cell. It may be in the case of unicellular organism, it is a food particle, or it is also digesting the damaged component of the cell. There's one interesting thing about the lysosomes is there during the cellular disturbance. Like when the cell get damaged due to some injury or something, in that time this lysosome bursts and the enzymes present in the lysosome digest their own cell which got damaged. And that's why these lysosomes are also known as the suicide bags of the cell, because it is capable of digesting, killing the whole cell. But this happens only during the cellular disturbance, when the cell get disturbed, get damaged. So this is a beautiful technique where the nature is getting rid of the damaged, injured cells. Then there is a one very big or very peculiar organelle. It is called a vacuole. It is also membrane bound, but the single membrane it is. Lysosome and vacuole are bound by the single membrane. But the other cell organelles, what we have discussed, nucleus, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi bodies, plastid, mitochondria, these are all bound by the double membrane. In the animals, vacuoles are either absent, or if they are present, very, very small. They are not very prominent. And generally they will help into the separate the waste products from the rest of the cell. But in the plant cell, vacuoles are very prominent, central position. Almost 50 to 90% of the plant cell is occupied by the vacuole. And sometimes a single, the what is filled with this plant's vacuole? So mainly it is the water. And there are some other material which is dissolved into the water, might be there in the vacuole. And the membrane of the vacuole is called tonoplast. You can see the comparison between the plant cell and the animal cell. If you are observing, it is the vacuole, a very prominent vacuole is seen in the plant cell. But in the animal cell, vacuoles are very small and many in number. Plastids, that is chloroplast, is absent in the animal cell while it is present in the plant cell. Let me see the difference between the both plant and animal cell in more detail. Plant cells are larger as compared to animal cells. Animal cells are smaller as compared to plant cells. Plant cells have cell wall outside the plasma membrane, but animal cell wall is absent. Plant cells contain plastids. Animal cells lack plastid. Centrosomes are absent in plant cell. Centrosomes are present in animal cell. Centrosomes are the structure which are useful during the cell division in the animal cell. Vacuoles are large in plant cell. Vacuoles are absent or if present very small in size in the animal cells. Now, as we had discussed in the cell theory, new cells arise from pre-existing cells. Now we have to understand how the new cells will arise. It is by the process called the cell division. Cell division is very essential in the unicellular organism for reproduction. That is, when one cell divides, from one cell the two cells become, is one organism become the two organism. So in the case of unicellular organism, cell division help into the reproduction. In the multicellular organism, cell division helps into the growth. Like the small young one of the organism grows into the adult organism, like a human kid grows into the adult human being. It is possible by increasing the number of cells. This is called a growth. And as I told, in the multicellular organism, growth, reproduction, then replacing the damaged and the worn out cells of the tissues and organs is possible by the cell division. How the cell divide? There is a two separate methods for the cell division is there. One of the method which is most common, this right side diagram if you are seeing, this method called the mitosis, the cell division method called mitosis, and it happen in the most of the body cells. As in the human being, most of our body cells, this type of the cell division happen is called the mitosis. Here during this type of the cell division, first chromosomes are divided. So there is a first the DNA replication takes place, number of chromosome will double, and then this chromosomes are divided equally among the daughter cells, and then the nucleus formation, and then all the cell organelle cytoplasm equally distributed among the daughter cells, and the one cell divided into the two daughter cells. And these cells are generally genetically identical to the parent cell. And as I told, this happen in the most of our body cells. There is one more kind of the cell division. If you see the left side of the screen, it is called the meiosis. It happen only in the reproductive part where the gametes are produced. This during the meiosis, the cell divide twice. First one cell divide into two cell, then two cell divide into the four cells. Here the first before the cell division, again the DNA replication happen, number of the DNA or the chromosome will double. After the single division, each daughter cell will be having the equal number of the chromosome as that's the parent. But after the second division, as there are the four cells are produced, this contain only 50% chromosome of the parent cell. You can see the difference between mitosis and meiosis. Mitosis takes place in the somatic cell, that is a body cell. Meiosis takes place in gamete cells, gamete producing cells. Mitosis, two daughter cells are formed. Meiosis, four daughter cells are formed. Mitosis, number of chromosomes remain diploid. Diploid means two set in the daughter cell. In meiosis, number of chromosomes become haploid, that is only one set in the daughter cell. Mitosis is necessary for growth and repair of the body. Meiosis is necessary for producing the gametes for sexual reproduction. Mitosis crossing over does not takes place. Meiosis crossing over takes place. So this is the end of this lesson. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe my channel. Thank you.